Welcome to Shawn and Carter Have a Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Carter.
And that's the last time I get to say Shawn and Carter have a podcast for some time, unless I'm lying about who my guest podcaster is.
That's true. That's true. It might be Sean Can't Harry Potter. Maybe you can just completely change around the entire format of the show.
Well, I'm actually thinking about getting Harry Potter on as a guest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm talking to his agent.
So Harry Potter or Daniel Radcliffe?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. How old would Harry Potter be nowadays? In his 40s?
I don't know. When was that series supposed to take place?
So the last book I believe took place in 1997. So he was 17 in 1997. So that would make him
At 15.
32?
Yeah.
32.
So he's got kids and stuff. I should get him on here.
You should get him on here. You should get him on here. Him and that red-haired chick he ended up hooking up with.
Right. What's her face?
What's her face? Ginny.
So I'll offer my apologies to you and the listeners. I was a little under the weather over the weekend, and our podcast would have been even more heavily Carter talking than normal.
Because you were ill, man.
I just had a bad cold, basically, and I kept thinking, like, my spirits were up. I'm like, I'm fine. And then I would go to the computer and put on my headset and talk for 10 minutes and be like, I can't do this.
Oh.
And then I would just go back to the couch, and that's what I did for 2 days.
There's something to be said for that. I mean, feeling bad is not good, but the couch is fun too.
The couch was fun, and I finished the first series of Doctor Who, the Chris Eccleston series.
You've beaten me.
And I started the David Tennant series. So I was gonna do Doctor Who starting with David Tennant, but at this point I'm like, I liked Chris Eccleston so much, I think I'm just gonna say fuck it, and I'm gonna do his whole series and then move into David Tennant.
So, I mean, that's a ringing endorsement for me. I've seen probably the first 3 episodes of the reboot, and I enjoyed them, but not enough for me to really make that time investment.
I think if I had only watched the first 3, I would also not have been impressed. I think there's a point about mid-season that all of a sudden the characters become really interesting. And then by the end of the season, Rose, his companion for this series, is all of a sudden the most interesting character. It gets really good. I'm really excited to talk about it with no one. No, I do have some people who have watched who have offered to talk to me about it, so I might grab some of them to do it.
We should get you hooked up with Tom from Now We Are All Tom, who's been all
that guy.
Who's been all Doctor Who-y. Back when I was YouTubing, I knew him better.
Some of the people who listen to this show probably don't realize that you used to YouTube.
Yeah, we're going to be a little reminiscent on this one since we're basically wrapping up for. We keep extending the length of how long I'm.
See, that's why I got sick, because I wanted to draw it out as long as possible.
Yeah. So what? This is our 53rd. 53rd podcast, and that's put us well past a year, and I think do you think most people don't know that I YouTubed?
I would assume that most people who listen now don't know that.
And
a lot of the people who listen now know that, but never even got to see you, like Ron.
I assume some small portion know that. Oh yeah, Carter made YouTube videos.
And for those of you who are just finding this out, don't go looking for his videos because they're not there anymore.
Won't find them. They're gone. They're hidden in my pocket. I actually, about a month ago, so the iPad version of the YouTube app, which is going away, I'm sure, when iOS 6 comes out, along with the iPhone version of the app, they're gone.
Yep. No more Google, Apple, Play Nice.
No mas. Too bad. So sad. The iPad version of the app, and I'm pulling out my iPad right now, and I'm opening up. I'm in the middle of the 4th issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the DC Comics. It's really good. I highly recommend it.
Nice.
Just by the way,
I saw that there is a new issue of Superman coming out in this like new rebooted DC universe that's been going on for like a year or so. That he apparently in the reboot, Lois Lane is not his love interest, and Wonder Woman has been. And in the latest issue, the two of them are finally gonna like get together, and there will be a Superman Wonder Woman romance for the first time ever.
I saw that, and then I also saw that specific. Apparently, I should be reading these new DC comics because, like, all of the news outlets that I follow, the internet news follows it, which makes me feel like I should follow.
And they're all gaga for it because this is like this is the time for comics. I think this is a whole new era for comics.
They'll have to call it something, you know. There's like the Bronze era and the Silver era and the whatever era, and I'm not very smart about the comics.
Right.
I mean, I really appreciate it though. But I mean, so
it's an expensive hobby. I think that's my biggest problem with it.
I guess that's true, but I mean, like a cup of coffee is expensive, and like
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, whatever. I mean, like I have expensive hobbies.
I have an expensive hobby that I'm engaging in right now.
Right. Like, everyone has expensive hobbies. I mean, this was expensive to get Crisis on Infinite Earths. $3 each thing. But, I mean, you know, whatever. I agree that it's an expensive hobby, but the thing that holds me back a little bit is probably I'm too much of a geek or a nerd or a dweeb or whatever.
Space cadet.
Yeah, exactly. I went to data camp in 2010.
Nice.
It's true. 2011, 2010, can't remember. 2010. So I could totally get bought into reading the new comics and just being somewhat satisfied with that. But a part of me would be like, but you got to read all the other stuff, or other, even though they rebooted it, like,
oh right,
all of the real people know all of this. Like, there's like, I'm sure that they have little subtle hints that the people who've been working in this, you know, in comics forever, you know, they can make allusions and stuff, and it's like I want to know that stuff.
Yeah, you're jumping in like a 70-year enterprise.
Yeah,
it's been going on and on and on, and you're just jumping in now.
Like Doctor Who. I mean, like I said, I watched the first 3 episodes of the Eccleston, you know, version of the Doctor, and then I actually spent a little time researching like where I could watch the like 1960s very original stuff. You can find it online. There's even one episode that it's lost to time, but they have the audio and they have like pictures that they show, like hand-drawn stuff from like some of the whatever from when they were producing it. And I was like, okay, I kind of gamed out like in Excel, like how much time would I have to invest in, one, finding this stuff because it's not necessarily easy to find, and 2, actually watching it because there's a lot.
Right.
And it was like you would spend like years and years and years just to get caught up to, you know, the reboot. So
yeah, it seemed like in that basically I took my cue from the Entertainment Weekly poll, which was about like who the current favorite Doctor was, and it was universally David Tennant, but there was a really large contingent that said Tom Baker, which was in the 70s, and I just immediately said it's not worth me finding this old 70s show and dealing with the cheesiness of it. I'm not going to do it. I am just starting with the new series.
Yeah, I mean, there are some movies, some of which are available on Netflix, that kind of are tent poles for Doctor Who, where like multiple doctors are in them, and it kind of is, you know, like handoffy, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, I was like, no, I can't. I mean, it's like if James Bond had been a nerdy, science-y TV show.
Yeah.
You know, like it's been out since the 60s. It's British, and the main character stays the same age and is played by different actors over time.
Isn't that weird?
They're just keen on that, those Brits, or whatever they want to be called. I'm sure I'm offending some portion of the people who live on those islands to the northwest of France.
I can say for certain I've seen every James Bond film.
I've seen every James Bond film.
I
Oh, well,
I know
no,
there
I
was.
haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't seen the Quantum of Solace, and I still haven't seen that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
No, it's disappointing.
Well then, I mean, there are some. I'm sure it's not the worst James Bond movie.
Probably not. I do really like Daniel Craig, and I really liked that it was a direct sequel, but overall, after following Casino Royale, which I thought was an amazing James Bond film, I was disappointed.
Yeah, I almost feel like they couldn't have done anything, you know? Like they took it in such this hard different direction. I don't know. You know what they should have done was they should have gotten Christopher Nolan involved.
He asked. He said he wanted to do a Bond film.
I know we talked about it last week, I think.
What the hell?
He could have pulled it off. I don't think anyone else could have pulled that off.
Well,
Taking that
we got
universe
Sam
so-
Mendes on the newest one, and there's a lot of hype. I think it'll be. Also, I think they're gonna kill Judi Dench.
About time.
That's not a spoiler because I don't know, but I'm guessing that they're gonna kill her.
Right.
I think they're
I'm
gonna
just
replace her with Ray Fiennes.
Interesting. With Voldemort.
Yes. I think he'll have a nose for this role.
Nice. Have you seen the teasers for American Horror Story
No.
on the inner tubes?
No, I haven't.
Are you intentionally not seeing them?
I guess not, because I didn't know they were there to look at.
Ah, okay. I will get them over to you. So I guess we can't talk about them. But there are some teasers out there, and they're interesting. They're interesting.
Okay. I believe you.
One is of like a nun carrying two pails, and they're kind of like she's walking, like the camera's right behind her, and she's walking with these pails, and they're kind of swinging, and you can kind of tell that there's like bloody something in one of them, and then she kind of stops and just kind of like curtsies, and what looks like a baby's body falls out of one of them.
Oh, good.
Just the American Horror Story we've come to know and love.
Yeah.
Now, I've watched those because I also watched all of the teaser stuff for the first season of American Horror Story. I've tried to not read a lot about like what's going to happen. So I really the only thing I know is that it's going to be set in an asylum. So I have no idea how these teasers relate to anything, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
The only thing I've read recently was that Chloe Sevigny's character is a nymphomaniac.
I don't know
I was
that
like,
actress.
okay, good to know.
You know that Shia LaBeouf is doing a movie called Nymphomaniacs.
You know that Shia LaBeouf is also crazy and has turned his back on Hollywood?
He is making hay. He's not an actor anymore. He's just someone who says crazy things to Huffington Post
He's
or whatever.
Dumb, man. I hope his agent quit.
I mean, he's gone totally off the that's offensive. He's gone totally off the rails. And I mean, like he I think today he said like, yeah, I did acid in this movie that I just filmed. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He looks terrible. He looks like I don't know what. Cooks cat food and ramen on a stove. His hair is all weird. I don't know what's going on with him, man.
I really liked him for such a long time, and now I don't know what to do.
I don't know. I don't know. One of the turning points was that Sigur Rós music video that he did.
I walked around for a whole day asking people if they'd seen Shia LaBeouf's penis.
Well, unfortunately, yes, I have.
Yep.
Yep, I have.
Can't unsee that.
No, and I like Sigur Rós. And that music video was just, why did they do that? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, man. Did you see the movie Disturbia?
Yeah, that was
the last movie I saw of his that I liked him in.
That was the moment that I was like, wow, I really like this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked him, and then it was all downhill.
Oh, man.
I was even fine with, like, Indiana Jones was disappointing, but I was fine with the concept of him getting inheriting that. I was like, yeah, we'll do another, like, young Indiana Jones and it'll be his son, whatever, that's fine. And that's clearly never going to happen now because he's burned all of his Steven Spielberg bridges.
Oh, that's true. He's burned all of his bridges everywhere. He can only get work like basically doing porn with Lars von Trier. Like that's not a good place to be at all. At all. That's sort of a place where you want to choose to be toward the end of your career, right? Like Willem Dafoe did Antichrist, and I'm sure it was just like, yeah, I'll try this crazy thing. I don't care. I've been doing
I'm
this
Willem
for a long
Dafoe.
time. I'm Willem Dafoe, man. I can do whatever I want. I was in Boondock Saints.
Did you see the newest Mr. Bean's Holiday, the newest Bean movie?
I did not know that they were making those.
It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Willem Dafoe appears as himself, and they're at this film festival, and he's promoting a movie that he made, and it is the most pompous, like, self-involved movie. It's just the camera's pointing at his face, and it's just him doing voiceover, and it appears like he does that for 2 hours. And he's so proud of himself. It is hilarious.
See, that's how you poke fun at the Hollywood studio system, not by like saying like I do acid and like no one in Hollywood is real and I'm awesome and I'm Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that kid has made a wrong career choice.
And I mean, it's hard for me to imagine this. He got his start on the Disney Channel. What?
Right. I mean,
Lizzie McGuire.
Maybe this is all a giant act of revolt that he's subconsciously. He's like, I'm not a Disney kid.
I mean, not a lot of good has come out of the Disney kid crew from like the 80s through the 2000s. Like, there's not a whole lot of good there. Basically, Justin Timberlake. That's about it.
It seems like Nickelodeon is the place where you want to be. Those kids turn out okay.
Well, did you see that Amanda Bynes can't stop crashing into people's cars?
Okay, well, I didn't say anything about their driving ability.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, we got Keenan on SNL.
And he actually, so when he got on SNL, I was like, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. But I'm like, it's Keenan from Keenan and Kel. But he's actually excellent.
He's fantastic.
I don't know if he was excellent when he got started, but at this point, yes, he's great.
Him and Bobby Monahan both have the best reaction shots. Like, whenever they go to them for a face and they're doing a face, it's always hilarious.
I have not been watching a lot of SNL, but I think that this past season seemed pretty strong, and the people that they are losing or likely losing is gonna make it it's gonna be a hard act to follow.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I haven't even briefed you, but Alicia and I will be posting 2 podcasts over the next 2 weeks. The next one will be we'll be talking about the Hunger Games because it came out on DVD. And then the one after that, we're going to talk about the Emmy race. And we spend a certain amount of time talking about how good the last season of SNL was. And Bill Hader and what's her name? Kristen Wiig were both nominated for Best Supporting Comedy Actress and Actor.
I'm a big fan of Kristen Wiig.
She's great. I'm sad to see her go, but as I understand it, she always planned to leave in 2012. She wanted to do 7 years, and she did, and she's out.
Saturday Night Live does that too. You know, it's every week. It's writing, it's acting, it's producing. Especially if you're at her level, or I think Bill Hader as well. And I don't know how what's his name does SNL in Portlandia at the same time.
Fred Armisen. Crazy. Yeah, that's not even. He appears everywhere. He appears on Jimmy Fallon pretty often.
But he's the head writer.
No, Seth Meyers is.
Oh, Seth Meyers is. So was Fred Armisen used to be the head writer?
I don't know.
Then I might be making that up. Well, whatever. Still, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
I saw him in person. We went to see Conan in New York before he moved to LA, and Fred Armisen was on, and he did his Obama impression, and it was so funny. he can transform into any person. I don't know how he does it.
I know. I don't know what to. I don't know what to say. He is currently the second longest tenured cast member, second only to Seth Meyers.
Okay, yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't know how we got off on that tangent. I'm excited for the Emmys. I will be listening to the podcast. Whatever you
Yay.
end up calling the podcast.
I don't really know either. I guess we're going to figure that out as we go along.
Yeah. You can take some suggestions.
Shawn has another podcast.
Shawn has SHAP?
For those of you who are subscribed in iTunes, it will continue to be posted in the same playlist. You won't have to go looking for it, but it will have some arbitrary name that I make up.
SHAP. Shawn. Oh, okay, well, anyway. SCHP, I mean, you should take an opportunity to try and give it a name that you can pronounce, because SCHP you can't pronounce.
And it also runs into that problem with the South Carolina Highway Patrol.
Maybe when I come back, we should just pick a whole new name.
I'll do it while you're away. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So, this is actually turning into exactly what I wanted it to. This is like our early podcasts. You know?
What are we talking about?
What's going on now? Oh, hey, let's talk about Netflix now.
Reed Hastings.
We didn't talk about all those articles. I'm moving things around all the time now. There were a bunch of articles about Netflix that we didn't talk about. Probably a month ago.
Yeah.
Ish. About like how is Netflix still around? Is Netflix gonna be around? Like what happened to that company? Like it has had some ups and downs and trials and tribulations. Did you have any idea that I didn't? That Netflix would go through like that would be a good topic for us.
No.
Right? It was just sort of like we ended up talking a little bit about Netflix and then we talked about it for 20 shows.
We are both consumers of Netflix and we had opinions about it, and then it ended up being in the news every week for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, that was when we were focusing a lot more on public relations stuff. We've kind of moved away from that a little bit. But it was like every week it was a new thing. Quickster and like their share is down. And, you know, they lost. I mean, I can't point to another better example of how awesome and how ridiculous Netflix is than when we did the horror month last year, which is coming up again this year, which is crazy. How we were able to point the audience to a Tale of Two Sisters, and in the space of 1 week, it was gone.
It was gone.
It was gone. Like, we watched it and it was gone. How is that? I mean, like, Netflix, it's just like, how can you play us like that? How can you be so, you know, it has such, it's the brand, man. They have such brand equity that they can screw around with people so much and they still survive, but barely.
I feel like for me, the reason that I would never, like, something like that would never deter me from the service is just because it's so cheap. I can't argue with the price.
I think that's right.
I'm like, yeah, maybe I have a library of only 15 million titles, but I am only paying $9 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket. And my mom still has not signed up for it, which is nuts.
She must not have listened to last week's podcast.
Or my text messages, or my emails, or whatever. Get on Netflix streaming. Because she canceled her DVD because she was like, well, I don't want DVDs. And I'm like, well, you know, streaming. And she's like, well, I don't know that I'm going to use it. And it's like, you'll use it. It costs, like, dollars.
See, did you see Ron's comment on the last episode?
It was something like he doesn't. No, I did, but I don't remember.
He doesn't have Netflix, and I just said, "What is your reasoning?" And he said he's so backlogged on all of the DVD like TV shows and like all the other things that he has no reason to need a streaming service at this time because he's working off of years of other stuff.
I guess that makes sense.
I don't think that is your mom's problem.
No. Well, and also what I would say to Ron is you may want to take a look at what's on Netflix streaming and see if you don't have some of that and watch it on streaming because it might not be around forever.
Yeah.
And your DVDs will.
Right. Yeah, someone emailed me who I know in real life who listens to the podcast and watches my videos and said, "Hey, if you need Doctor Who seasons 1 and 2. I've got them on DVD. They're just gathering dust. And I was like, they're on Netflix, but thanks.
And right now, I think you can get Netflix streaming connection with, like, you know, a box of Pop-Tarts. You know, it's everywhere.
Right.
I like every like month or so I go through a phase of thinking I'm gonna get a game console, and that's when I'm like, oh, and then I can watch Netflix
And then
on
you
my
can
TV.
watch Netflix.
On my TV instead of on my computer, because I can't. As you have pointed out, I can't use my computer to watch Netflix on my TV anymore because Apple.
See, you're supposed to buy an Apple TV now. Be a good Apple consumer.
I would buy an Apple TV, but I don't have internet in my house that will work with it. So.
Oh, you don't have a wireless network, do you?
No, so I mean, like, I wouldn't get a gaming console either. So, but like, that's all a pipe dream. But I'm thinking, like, after November, and my life, like, becomes a life again, I might think about like moving somewhere and getting a real apartment and getting, you know, the internet, and then, you know, I have to make a decision.
Carter has
Apple
dreams.
TV. I got big dreams of one day having
Netflix on your TV.
Netflix on my TV. Or rigging up some way to watch Netflix on my TV from my computer through my crazy internet connection, and I don't know what. Mountain Lion just had an update, which has made everything a little bit better, which is nice. No more still no HDMI, and that's not coming back.
Yeah, I've gotten over it. I'm way past it.
Yeah. I just want to, like, I want to register this one complaint because this is my, like, last time to register complaints in, like, the public space. Ever since
when we come back in November, it's just going to be an hour of you complaining.
I'm just going to be so mad about so many things. Ever since I updated to 10.8, which is great. I love a lot of the features. I love Notification Center. I think that the new dictation thing is at least interesting. Safari has been so crashy, especially mostly when I'm opening a link in a new tab, that I've gotten, it's like sanctioning me and causing me now to question whether I want to open something in a new tab.
Ugh.
At all in Safari, and I switched over to Safari wall to wall because I liked how it was integrated with the rest of the OS, and I like that it's really minimalist, and I liked everything about it. And I would, you know, I got into a habit of, you know, for a while, like right-clicking or double-clicking and then opening a new tab, or just like control-clicking things. Like, right. I'm going to open these 10 things. And now it's just started randomly crashing. And what I will frequently do is, especially if I have my second monitor plugged in, I'll have like YouTube or Netflix open in one window in another monitor. And I'll just be like, click, 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 opening things. And if one of them causes it to crash, it's like, now I've lost my thing I was watching and I have to start Safari again. What are you guys doing, Apple? What are you doing?
See, obviously I'm not working on Mac OS, but I use Chrome, and the coolest thing that I've found about Chrome is that you can sign in on your Google ID and sync your tabs across all platforms. So I wasn't going to talk about this, but here I go. I got an Nexus 7 for my birthday. I swear it's not Carter's. I didn't just steal Carter's.
Shawn.
And I can be like browsing the internet on there and have my tabs, and then I can walk over to my computer and open up Chrome, and it'll open those tabs. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Safari I really like that.
Safari has that too if you have iOS devices.
Yeah, okay.
Cloud tabs.
Cloud tabs. But it doesn't work if they keep crashing.
But if they keep crashing, it doesn't work. That's my biggest complaint right now, which, I mean, and I have built up such a world now in Safari that and also it's like I have no options for browsing on my Mac right now, no good ones. So Firefox I think is horrible, except I have to use it for work. Chrome is a huge memory hog, at least on a Mac. I found it to be a memory hog on Windows machines too. Like, you let Chrome run for a day straight with like 20 tabs open, and then you look in, I don't know what you look in on Windows anymore to look at the memory, but it's like, oh my God, Chrome needs to let you, Task Manager or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Task Manager.
Task Manager, and you look at like how much of the real memory is taking up. It's like, oh Jesus, it's crazy. Like, I need to turn it. I need to like shut Chrome off, or like something I remember is like you would have Chrome running for a very long time, and you'd open up Task Manager, and there would be like 10 instances of Chrome.exe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I've actually got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I actually have 10 instances of Chrome running right now.
It just slows your machine down. Like, Chrome is a memory hog, and there's no two ways about it. Like, it sucks. I think it's a really slick interface, and I love how it integrates with Google's platform. And also, one thing that's really cool about Chrome that some people might not know about is that it communicates to Google's servers over this Speedy protocol, SPDY, which is kind of like a... Oh, someone can correct me if I'm getting this wrong. I believe it is a like sort of a kind of sort of replacement for HTTP, and it's just like a much faster way of communicating to Google servers, so that if you are on Chrome and you go to like Google Mail, and if you tried on the same computer to go to Google Mail from Chrome and Firefox, it would go faster on Chrome because it's communicating over this much faster protocol that only Google supports right now, basically. And
that actually makes a lot of sense, because I always feel like my Gmail will load really fast on my home computer, and when I'm at work using Internet Explorer, it doesn't.
Yep, that's probably the main reason why. And also, the Kindle Fire uses that same protocol to communicate to Amazon servers to make the web browser on the Fire try and go faster. But there are reasons why it also isn't faster because, blah, blah, blah.
Because of stuff.
Because of stuff and things. We actually talked about that. Didn't we talk a long time ago about Silk?
Yes, I remember talking about Silk.
Yeah, I don't think I brought up Speedy, but that was one of the reasons why it's supposed to try and sort of be faster. I think I was just complaining about the fact that it was called Silk, which makes no sense.
It's sexy, really... Carter. They're trying to sell sex.
Silk. It's silky. Well, I hear silk and I think of soy milk.
Oh, okay. I guess there's that too. I guess my wife would think of that too.
Yeah. I went through a phase of drinking just soy milk, and then I just decided milk is disgusting wall to wall, and I won't have any more of it.
My dad, like, I grew up drinking, having cereal and milk, drinking milk with my eggs in the morning or whatever, and like he was always the one he'd buy a gallon of milk for the family like every couple days, and now he's lactose intolerant. His body decided like, nope, can't do this anymore, and I don't think he's completely lactose intolerant, but he can't have cereal and milk anymore. His body can't handle it.
I mean, good. Well, I don't know.
It
if
sucks.
He enjoyed it, I'm sorry. What does he drink? Some sort of replacement, like
I think he has. Yes, milk? He's drinking almond milk.
Almond milk is really great. I've just got turned on to almond milk. It lasts forever. You can get almond milk. It lasts for weeks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's one of the reasons why you should get almond milk, especially if you were someone like me who's never home and, maybe has a bowl of cereal every like 3 or 4 days. It lasts for weeks, whereas like regular milk lasts for, days.
A week or 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah, and soy milk as well does not last forever at all. Anyway,
so now we're talking about soy milk.
So now we're talking about soy milk.
I don't see this on our agenda. Where was this?
This is part of the. This is part of my last bullet: reflections on a year plus of podcasting. It's just tied in with that.
The time that we talked about soy milk.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Or just the time that we talked about the thing that one time. Remember?
I remember that.
Okay. Well, I think we should move on to Marble Hornets and then wrap up in any way that we want. Since this is sort of like our freebie end of the season. Do you want to call this the end of the season? Can this be in seasons, Shawn?
No, I don't.
Shawn and Carter have a podcast, season 2, in Technicolor and widescreen with panamorphic animatronics. And
Someone left a comment on one of the Survivor 2. Actually, it was the first episode of Survivor Die 2. Someone left the comment today that was like, I'm so glad this is back for a second season. I can't wait for them to catch up to the episode where I said, I'm not calling it season 2.
It's pretty close. I thought it was in the first. Oh no,
it was not in the first episode.
It was not.
It was in the first recording, but that was like split over 7 episodes. Yeah. I don't do seasons. YouTube does not operate that way.
YouTube's the future of digital media, man. It's TV, but on the internet.
It's not TV.
Why can't it have seasons?
Because
it's continuous, or what?
That would, to me, that would imply that it like comes back on the air for a certain amount of time and then it goes off. Like Survivor Die is not like that. If I actually had a show that was like I made a production schedule for 12 episodes and then I had a plan for the next 12 episodes, maybe I would consider that calling that a season. But that's not the way I'm doing it.
Unless if you could call it a miniseries, you'd get an Emmy nomination.
Right.
You call it a miniseries.
Like Freddie Wong is doing that video game high school thing. And I would, if he wants to call that season 1 because it's going to end and later he's going to do another production of it and call that season 2, I understand that. That's fine. But like making a video game series and calling it season 1 and season 2 makes no sense to me.
Series 1, series 2? None of that.
I don't know. I even hesitated to call it Survivor Die. I was like, do I just want to call it something else? And then I was like, no, I want the name recognition.
Brand equity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just like, fine, Survivor Die 2. That's fine.
Did you consider just calling it Survivor? Oh, because you just call it Survivor Die. Even though the logo says 2, you don't call it that anymore.
No, I did drop it.
Even in the logo.
No, the logo says 2. But
the last one I saw, it had 2. But
I stopped saying Survivor Die 2.
I'm trying to think. I think there are some things like that, though, in non-YouTube or just where, you know that we're in something else, but it's the next part. Like episodic movie, like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like parts. It comes in parts. Maybe there are an infinite number of parts. Who knows how many parts there will be. But it's Star Wars. You just don't have, like, taglines. Or, you're not like Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. You're just
Maybe it's because I don't have a marketing machine on top of me. Because maybe it's all about the production company behind it.
Sure. I think you're doing fine with Survivor Die.
Thanks. I'm just gonna keep calling it that.
I think it's fine.
Do you want to talk about Star Wars? Because you brought it up.
We could. Did you see the Seth Green cartoony thing? Star Wars reload, something?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do you not know what I'm talking about? We may need to pause and you may have to watch it and weigh in. Star Wars it's on Facebook. Something? Quick takes something?
What?
Oh man, you're just like, how have you not seen this? Seth Green is collaborating with.
Okay, Seth Green's Star Wars project takes a different look at the saga's characters. Star Wars Detours.
Detours. It's Robot Chicken, but it's licensed by Lucasfilm and it's a CGI animated series.
Okay.
I feel like you should maybe like in the future, you should watch the trailer and just say what you think about it, positive or negative.
Okay.
I could say a lot.
Whoa, this opinion is very split on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 7,000 likes and 3,200 dislikes.
Mm-hmm. I think that after you watch it, you'll probably feel the discontinuity.
Okay.
the disjunction. Because you can see a lot of the Robot Chicken in there, especially since I'm pretty sure they got Seth MacFarlane to voice the Emperor again, which is like what he does.
We trashed him last episode, so now we gotta praise him for being the Emperor.
In any event, You should check that out, and maybe have Alicia watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, before we wrap up, however we're going to wrap up, we got to do Marble Hornets.
Right.
Marble Hornets has been a pretty important part of the podcast.
Yeah, I like the way we turned it into a giant viewing experience and got a lot of our viewers to watch it either for the first time or rewatch it to contribute to our conversations.
Yeah, plenty of people. And I also appreciate all the people who like voiced an opinion or had a thought, made me know that people were following along with us.
I liked finding out that Bobby and one of his friends were watching it together across a Skype conversation.
Oh, that's right.
So that they could keep each other company. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Man, we never did that. Maybe we could have done that once.
Maybe.
Well, I mean,
we saw the Avengers.
We did see the Avengers. I think at some point, when the new ones were coming out, when they came out, I was just like, I must watch this right now.
Right. That's what Marble Hornets does. As soon as you see it's posted, you're like, I have to watch this right now.
Well, Shawn, you have a little bit of news that I didn't even know until just now.
Yeah, we've been waiting for episode 6 or entry 62, and Jay, has been very silent on Twitter, and it turns out that Troy, now that's the real person, and Alex and Tim, what's Alex's real name?
Joseph.
Joe. Were in a car accident, and one of their cars was totaled. They are fine, but in addition to their complicated schedules, now they have severely less transportation means. They can't get around. So I don't know when we're going to be seeing entry 62. They haven't really posted anything about it. I found this out from a forum that pointed to their personal Facebooks. They posted about it.
There are so many people who follow their personal lives just to get some insight into this series.
Yeah, I read that on this forum that they blanket accept anyone on Facebook because they know what they're friending them for.
Sure.
We know why you're here.
Yeah. And I mean, Troy has a Tumblr or a blog kind of thing that I think originally was supposed to be personal, but now it's mostly just like, yeah, here's some stuff about what we're doing. Well, that's too bad. And I imagine that, I mean, the last thing we saw sort of indicated that they'd be going to Rosswood Park, and I'm pretty sure that's not close to where they live. So
it involved traveling.
That's too bad. It happened on your birthday too, right?
Yep.
You found out. So that's two things. You got sick, and the Marble Hornets crew got into an unfortunate car accident.
Ron tweeted at me a number of things that happened on August 24th throughout the centuries. It was pretty fun. I think it was his birthday present to me.
I didn't realize what was going on until you said right now what was going on.
Oh.
I'm pretty tired, guys.
You're a busy guy.
Now. Not just now, just generally. Now I get it. Okay, that was very clever, Ron. Well done.
It's like when he tweeted at you the market share for Apple, and I didn't know what he was tweeting at you until like 12 hours later. I saw that number and I was like, oh, bingo.
Bingo. It's going up, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Bravo, Tim Cook.
Brava. So Marble Hornets. So a big part of this podcast for me has been moving. I don't know how much of it has been for you, but we got this thing started and I was in Colorado, and we didn't do it for very long until I moved back home to Columbus for a while, and then I moved out here, and a lot of just kind of my life and kind of getting into the groove of things out here has been just like doing the podcast regularly, just sort of like that's that thing every week that I do with Shawn, while I was kind of like experiencing a new city and having a new job. And part of moving out here, was watching Marble Hornets. I watched it, I think, in November of 2011, maybe September. I can't, or October. I can't remember now. But I watched like the whole thing in like 3 or 4 nights. I was staying, so I was in supporter housing. That's code for, some old couple who's willing to like let you stay with them for a couple weeks or a month or so in like their kid's room who doesn't live with them anymore. Uh, I was staying in supporter housing in with this very nice couple who I love. They were great. But I was in like this teeny tiny room. Did I ever describe this to you in detail?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I was in this teeny tiny room. So I was with this couple, and I would sort of walk into their house late at night from work and go upstairs. And they're upstairs. They were in what I would call like a sort of like a new in northeastern style kind of like ranch house sort of thing. It's a full first story, a basement with kind of a rec room, and then an attic. But the attic had a bedroom in it. The roof was slanted, so it was very small and confining. So even me, I'm not very tall. You couldn't stand up except like right in the center of the room.
Oh.
Right, I'm not tall. Shawn knows I'm not very tall. And it had 2 beds, and they were 2 like little tiny beds right next to each other. My feet like almost hung off the end of it. So this teeny tiny little room, and they had this old desk, this old like from like 1910 or 1920, this antique desk right next to their air conditioning unit, which it was so hot that summer, like I was pumping that thing like crazy, and I would have to turn it off when Shawn and I did the podcast, which I hated because it was so hot. And I had my computer there, and I would do my work, and I forget how I stumbled on Marble Hornets. I think I'd seen it before in the past, but I like started watching it, and I got sucked in, and it's been a journey since then. At least for I think for both of us, just like you've had an entire video series for Marble Hornets. You did Molasses Hornets.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit more insight into all of the editing that took place in the videos, so I did so in the public eye by slowing them down.
Which I think is great, and I can't think of... there are some YouTube videos out there that are kind of geared toward the To The Arc videos more, where people are like, hey, I slowed this down, or I reversed it, and here's what it means, and usually they're in the related videos.
Yeah.
But your videos are much more thorough and intentional than those, I feel. And I'm always happy when yours show up in the related videos of those videos.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes when I watch a Marble Hornets video, at the end, either one of our podcasts or one of my Molasses Hornets entries will actually pop up, and I'll be like, oh, that's great, there's me.
Well, I'm glad the podcast pops up occasionally too, although I think people will be like, what are they talking about? They're talking about like
Reed Hastings.
In-N-Out Burger, Reed Hastings? This doesn't make sense. And then like 30-40 minutes in, we're talking about Marble Hornets. So how many more? What entry are we waiting for? 61?
62.
62.
We had 61 and then 61 and a half, which was the hacked entry.
62. So there's a lot left in this season of Marble Hornets, right? If they do 26, like they have done in the previous 2 portions. They've called them seasons.
Yes,
so
they
if
have.
there are going to be 20, if there are going to be 26 in this one, that would take us to 78 total. So that leaves quite a lot of room. Actually, that would put us sort of right around the halfway point of this season. And the first season is kind of schizophrenic and weird. The second season, I think, breaks down into halves pretty cleanly. Although most of the second half is longer than the first half. There's just more content. So I don't really know what that spells for the future of Marble Hornets, but I think we gotta lay down some predictions, or at least, I feel like we should, because we're probably not gonna be able to talk about Marble Hornets until, I don't know how long from now. Long time.
Do you really think they'll be done by the time you get back?
I don't know.
I can't imagine that they will be at the rate that they're going.
I don't know that they'll be done. They wrapped up the second season pretty rapidly. Like I think they filmed a lot of it. Like once they had the final like 5, 6 entries done, they wrapped it pretty quickly. But especially with this car accident, though, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. When
I
real
don't
life
know.
interferes.
Yeah. Um, but there's certainly time to wildly speculate. They said that I think they've made it pretty clear that this is going to be the end of Marble Hornets, right?
Right. Yes, they have professional lives that they all want to take. They all want the professional lives to take precedent to their silly web series.
Right, exactly. So they appreciate the magnitude of the series and what they've accomplished, but they want it to end, which I think is admirable. So do you have any thoughts for like not like where do you think that they're shooting for an ending? If you think they're shooting for anything right now,
I
like
think
not just big theories, but just like where do you think it's going to close? How do you think it's going to close?
I think that we are going to be left with a lot of questions at the end. At least I hope that we will. I don't really want them to wrap things up in a neat little box. I would like things to stay. I would like if there were some reveals of some things that kind of make us go like, oh, that's why da da da. But I would also like if there were a lot of big questions left unanswered.
I'd have to agree. I think I've been thinking more and more about this, and maybe I'll just like keep posting comments on the future podcast videos. I'll tell you what I've been watching a lot and referencing a lot and thinking about a lot. I've been thinking about the very first non-entry, the introduction.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching it a lot. I've probably watched it 4 or 5 times in the past month. Um, just it's got a lot of things that come up a lot throughout the whole series. It's a car driving that they open and close a lot of the seasons with that. There are some locations that we very rarely that we've seen maybe once or twice in that very first introduction, and I think that you know just the setup, Jay or whoever is gets access to this sort of mysterious content, and he's going to begin investigating it, and he's like making this available on YouTube. I just keep getting drawn back to that. I think that if they're smart or whatever, I think that there will be a strong parallel to that introduction. I think that however it ends up, you're going to feel connected back to the introduction.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I'm wondering if they are regretting introducing all of these secondary characters along the way, because there are so many of them. I can't imagine we'd see them again, and if we did, I would wonder why. Like, there are people that constantly the forums are like, to the Ark might be Seth or Brian, and everyone else is like, Seth and Brian are gone. Stop talking about them.
I am so totally with you. I think that they probably regret that too.
Several
If you,
female characters that have disappeared as well.
I mean, I think there's still something to be said about Jessica, but also I think that you're probably right. Like, she was available for that season and she's gone now. And like, what happened to her? Oh well, whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah.
If you just watched the series, you would have no like indication or hint, or I don't think you would walk away being like, I bet that Brian and that Seth guy that we saw once or twice in the first season a couple times, I bet they're really critically important. But if you go on the unfiction forums, it's like they have this whole imaginary history of like them trying to shoehorn them back into the series. It's like they become these mythological figures, but they have with no real reason or right to be like these big characters.
Yeah, for it to turn out that one of these mysterious characters was one of those people wouldn't make any sense. There would be no way to explain it. I don't know why the unfiction people are so roped onto them.
No, I mean, like, I'm starting to take a lot of stock in your theory that it's, the more mysterious and magical characters are somehow deeply related to our three main characters. And also, just like, these guys are all film and literature students. It's like, you don't just, like, pull out some random character from, like, 2 seasons ago who you have no emotional connection to and you barely remember. And it's like, it was him all along. It was,
If it weren't for you meddling kids.
Right, exactly. This is not going to be like Scooby-Doo. It's going to be more like, I don't know. Inception, hopefully.
Ooh.
Maybe it's just like Inception, somehow. Maybe they have been in the Matrix the whole time.
That would make sense.
If I wanted to put one like crazy whacked out theory out there that I was hinting at when I was saying like I've been watching the introduction a lot, is that if I like wanted to put just something up on the board, maybe they do it, maybe they don't. I think that it will somehow wrap back around to the introduction.
What if at the end they don't resolve anything and just end up accidentally passing the mystery on to some other unsuspecting victim?
Ooh.
I kind of like that as a horror ending.
That's true. That's true.
They like doing that in horror movies.
And, well, I mean, if they wanted to really take it to a meta level, what if the unsuspecting victims who were continuing to unravel the threads of this are the other channels on YouTube that have sprung up and taken inspiration from them?
Now they have to figure out the Slender Man?
Yeah, or just like, we saw these other channels and like we don't know what they're doing, but like they somehow pass the torch off to them like in a more direct way. I know that like Everyman Hybrid has had explicit connections with Tribe 12. Like they've tried to draw connections between the two of them, and I think a lot of those channels have tried to draw connections with Marble Hornets. I think that they, like, in terms of their artistic integrity, they won't acknowledge those other channels. So, but who knows? Certainly not me.
No.
Or
we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know anything. So I'm opening up iTunes right now. How many people do you think listen to us still don't have iTunes to listen to this podcast?
I would imagine most of the people who listen to us do not listen to it on iTunes.
Okay, well, I have everything that we have in iTunes except for what we're recording right now. And it is 53 podcasts. It takes up 3.5 gigabytes, and it's 2.8 days worth of Shawn and Carter. If you listen to it end to end, like Kim is doing, and she promises us that she's almost caught up, which I think is hysterical and adorable.
And she's doing it the right way. It's not even, it's 2.8 days of listening to us talk, but in order to listen to us talk, you also have to do the homework, which is often like a 2-hour movie or something. And she's doing all of that. So it's taking her forever to catch up.
Yes. I think that she mentioned that we talked about our 1-year anniversary. That's where she was at. And that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That was in July. So she's catching up.
She's right there.
But yeah. So if you tried to listen to us and didn't do the homework, it would still take you 3 days of non-stop listening to and I would assume that with this podcast it would get us basically right there to the 3-day mark, right to 70 whatever hours.
If we take out all of your it would probably knock it down to 2.5.
2.5 days, maybe like a quick, day and a half. You could take all my ums for like a uh
You're doing it right
journey,
now.
journey, uh, uh, voyage, etc. For the people who don't know anything about, so for everyone who has not seen my YouTube videos, I did a whole video about me saying
Yeah,
all
you
the
did.
time. All the time. And I do all the time. And I shouldn't, because I had a speech class with my drama director back in my junior year of high school, where if you said at all while you were presenting, he would snap his fingers
Yeah.
as to try and like stop you to do it, so that you would start getting a mental tick about saying So what you would do, instead of saying because he would do that like sort of near your face, instead of saying you would just go and say nothing, which is what he wanted you to do.
Which
and
is
it's
better.
Like, it's and really it's a trick to make you think, instead of just saying just like stop whatever you're doing and think and then say the next thing. But he didn't really couch it as that. It was just,
Stop saying
and you're like, oh god, I don't want to say anymore. I still say a lot, but I don't think most people know about that, because Shawn edits them out for me.
I do a significant amount of editing.
Yeah, because I say a lot.
Well,
you can't edit these out, because then
yeah, I
people
know.
won't
Now I'm going to disprove them. There was a certain point right around like SCHP30 something that I realized I could recognize his introductory by waveform alone. I would just be scrolling through and I'd be like, oh, there's one, and I would play it, and sure enough it would be They look the same every time.
Well, I mean, at least I'm consistent.
Yeah.
At least I'm notably consistent. I wonder. I mean, like, you've cut all those out though, so those are all on the cutting room floor.
I don't
You could
cut
just like
them
string them all
out. I
well,
cut
no,
out.
but I mean, like, you could string all of them together, and it would be like a, I don't know what.
It would be an hour of
It would just
Please, no one asked me to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Well, but like, no, who would want to listen to that? I mean, it's ridiculous.
The internet.
The internet has some demands, some weird ass demands, man. See, now I'm just gonna.
Now you can't. Now I'm gonna have to stand here and go.
Now I'm not gonna be able to stop, because it's implanted in my skull. We started this based on movie stuff, which I'm really excited that we kept doing movies. There was a chance that we could have just been podcasting and not have kept up watching movies, but I think that I'm really happy and satisfied that the stuff that we've done has kind of taken us on these kind of long movie trips. This is way more than I could have ever hoped for when we started more than a year ago.
Yeah, you were kind of... We both had the idea that we could do this series on YouTube back and forth where we could recommend each other films and respond to them. And I was really interested in doing that because I'm such a passionate movie watcher, and I always have opinions, and I always want to like share like this awesome movie that no one knows about with other people. And that was what I was interested in doing, but I didn't know how to approach it on YouTube. And so the video series was the first idea. And then at that time I was like, you and I should think about doing a podcast. And then we were both like, why don't we just do a podcast now?
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Which was smart. It was good that we didn't try to continue on the movie stuff. It was tough.
We just worked it right in with the podcast, and it worked seamlessly.
Yeah, it worked pretty well. Well, and also, you probably should, if you wanted to continue that on YouTube, you probably needed a better YouTube partner because your videos next to my videos,
a better videographer.
Yeah, it's like Carter's so echoey, and why is he recording this on his cell phone?
And why is he always wearing that same white shirt?
I know. Well, because I get home and I take off my button-down shirt.
I understand, man. I'm being the commenter.
right now. I know.
I
Anyway.
was wearing a blank white shirt until I put on this shirt that was on the floor.
And you're not even recording, or
Well, I
you're not
guess
doing
I
any
felt
video.
sweaty.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, but when we got this started, I kind of thought we would continue doing that, back and forth thing. And I don't know, it was just really lucky that Harry Potter was coming out, and I
Right.
think that's really what made us do series.
Yeah, we just started doing basically timely things. We decided like Harry Potter was coming out, so let's just watch Harry Potter. And then we did horror stuff around horror time, like October. And it just worked out really well.
Yeah, and I mean, American Horror Story came around, and I mean,
If we were still podcasting for the next couple months, we would probably do a couple James Bond movies because James Bond is coming out.
probably, and then we would sync up with American Horror Story. I'm a little bummed that we won't be able to do American Horror Story.
I'm sure you and I will be talking. Maybe we should limit our conversation about American Horror Story to Twitter so that other people can follow.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Because we do text each other and email and stuff. So maybe we should do American Horror Story in the public eye.
Ah, that's a good. Yeah, we probably should do that. I mean, we basically did that when American Horror Story was out last year.
Right.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. I would be down for that because I the 45 minutes that I get to watch American Horror Story, as long as it's good, and God help it if it's not good, I will be there, and that will be sacrosanct, and I will certainly Twitter during it.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking back through these podcasts right now. We have some interesting stuff here in the middle. Like you can tell where just looking at the dates and the lengths and what we talked about, where it got a little rocky toward the end of 2011.
I don't remember talking about Rocky.
Rocky? Maybe we'll do that now. Maybe we'll do that in 2013. And then right here we catch our stride. And you know what the name of the podcast was? It's SCHP52 Iron Man, and right there, like we've been holding on incredibly strong. I am impressed that we've been able to keep this up basically every week for 9 months.
Yeah, Ron and Elaine gave us a little shout out on their most recent episode of Earhart because they have been very inconsistent with their release dates. And they were pointing to our show and how incredible it is that we did 50 episodes in 52 weeks. That's not true because there is a Shawn and Alicia podcast somewhere in the middle there.
Yes, there is. Where's Carter?
Where's Carter?
Right between Occupy Google and Carter Strikes Back. That's in that. We got.
Sometimes
up to,
I have good titles.
Yeah, exactly. And then I will say one of my favorite podcasts we ever recorded was right around there, and it's the podcast that we recorded with Elaine. We've had some guests on which I've really liked, and Elaine is no disrespect to any other guests that we've had, but she was definitely my favorite guest. We had a great conversation with her.
You're allowed to pick favorites. That's fine.
I listen to every podcast. It's a lot worse now. Well, not now. I kind of forget that we've been doing this for however long we've been doing this, for a year and change. You didn't always used to post this on YouTube.
Right.
You used to post like trailers or snippets or whatever.
I had a 15-minute limit.
Right.
So I wasn't allowed.
Craziness. So I would always listen to this once when it came out on iTunes, but now I watch it twice, or I listen to it twice right when it comes out on iTunes, and then when it's out on YouTube, I kind of skim through it and I read the comments, and then I check to see if you put any funny things in at the ends and stuff, because you frequently do.
You know what? No one ever says anything about that except you. I do that in like almost every single episode on YouTube, and no one ever says anything. Not even just on SCHP, like on every video I make ever.
I know, I love all this stuff you do.
And people almost never say anything about like the little thing at the end that I hide there. It's very frustrating.
I mean, I'm sure that feels frustrating, but I also think that a lot of people who really like the stuff you do, that's just one of the little things that they like about it.
And they don't
And
comment on it.
yeah, so here's a challenge to people out there. You should let Sean know about all those little things that he does. I think people catch on to a lot of things that you do, especially those like little tidbits and stuff. Because,
All my Homestar Runner references.
well, I'm just gonna say right now, I don't know what that is.
That's okay. That's okay. Plenty of people. Actually, Homestar Runner references are probably the ones that most people respond to.
Man, I'm in the minority on that one then. Jeez.
You get all the Star Wars ones.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Do it. Uh, yeah, so it's hard for me to believe this, but we really just did so we did the Marvel movies, Star Wars, and Christopher Nolan. But it took us like 6 months.
Well, we did watch all the Star Wars movies and then do a bonus Star Wars episode. And then we did all the Christopher Nolan movies. And we had like 2 weeks where we couldn't see The Dark Knight Rises, so we got all mixed up.
So one of my best friends, he's been listening to all of the Christopher Nolan parts of the podcast, and actually he's been asking me to send him just the second parts of those YouTubes, but then he's been going back and listening to the first parts, and he's like, "Oh, that's pretty good too. I guess I'll listen to both of them."
Oh, good.
Like, thanks, dude. Thank you. And then I remember he texted me the first time I sent him one of those videos. And he's like, "There's this really long trailer, and it's asking me to skip it. If I keep watching it, does that help Sean?" And I'm like, yes. I don't know if it does, but I said yes.
I actually don't really know. I don't know how that works. I don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah, so he's probably the only person watching your videos who is watching like the like minute-long trailer for like, I don't know, whatever that new movie with the dad from Arrested Development. And whatever. But he asked me today. I called him today, and he said, "Did you guys do The Dark Knight?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I just can't find it." I'm like, "Well, we did them in this weird order."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We did the Batman movies in order, but everything else was all over the place.
Yeah, well, he only listened to Dark Knight Rises. And for some reason, he doesn't know how to use YouTube, so he just asks me for the links.
I've got the SCHP in a playlist that is linked on the video.
Oh man, you're reaching even there. Even there, you're reaching. Some people still just don't know how to use YouTube. Some people just want to watch the world burn down. Whenever you say tangerine, just lose it. Oh man. Well, I think we're drawn to a close on SCHP.
So the future of this podcast will revolve around me trying to find guests to fill in for you until you come back.
Yes. And I haven't made a firm commitment when I'm coming back, I don't think.
Yeah, I haven't been bugging you about it either because it seems so far away right now.
But remember at the beginning of the year when I said around the end of August.
And I was like, that's forever.
Yeah. So, TBD, when there's going to be holidays coming up at the end of the year. We had a rocky November and December in 2011. So,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Certainly by 2013. Certainly by January, which is not that far from now, I will say. It's September, just in a couple days from now, and then it's November, and then there's Turkey Day, and then there's it gets cold in North America.
Yeah, Turkey Day is Thanksgiving in the United States, by the way.
Turkey Thanksgiving, etc.
For our international listeners.
Yeah, there's what the hey? Since this is my last podcast, there's Election Day, November 6th, in the United States, which is a big part of my job. So we'll just say I'll be back sometime after November 6th, and you know, put a marker on your calendars there. And that's about all I got right here, I think. I actually I told Sean off air uh, that Will, one of our loyal listeners, gave us some research on In-N-Out Burger and Five Guys and said that they're basically equivalent in terms of quality. And I think I'm gonna get a Five Guys burger like right now and a whole bunch of Cajun fries. So the last thing that you'll hear from me until I come back is that I had a big old juicy, greasy Five Guys burger and a bucket of Cajun fries.
That's the way to go out, man.
Yeah, just like all Americans. All right. And I am getting a burger. I have been waiting for this all day. I'm gonna get a double, and I am gonna get just a separate bag of fries. I'm just gonna like say I want the large and don't even put it in my bag. Just like
I want to have a heart attack on the way home.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even want to make it home. I just want to. I want the grease from the bag to seep in through my skin and just cause me to drop down dead. And then I'll be happy. And please don't put any of those godforsaken vegetables on my burger.
Vegetables? Who needs them?
You know they make a veggie something there, which is basically the vegetables that they put on the burger.
As if they expect vegetarians to go to Five Guys.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we have a vegetarian option. It's a burger with all the fixins and no meat. It's like, who would eat that? That's disgusting. It's like, yeah, I'll have some burger pickles and those onions and shredded lettuce and a tomato and a bun. And if you're a vegan, you don't get cheese.
Yeah.
And ketchup and mustard. Who would want that? It's disgusting. Oh, man. But no, seriously, I am going to get a Five Guys burger.
Just to clarify.